There's a common belief out there that some people are just more creative than others, and I'm not so sure I agree with that. In fact, I'm actually pretty darn sure I disagree with that. But before we get into that argument I'm apparently going to have here with myself while looking at the camera, let's define what creativity is. I looked up a couple of definitions to share here, and the simplest one is the use of imagination or original ideas. From the Oxford Dictionary. While I am a big fan of the Oxford comma, I'm not always a real big fan of their definitions, a little too simple. So I kept looking for more definitions. And I found this one from Cal State University I want to read to you here. It's the tendency to generate or recognize ideas, alternatives, or possibilities that may be useful in solving problems, communicating, and entertaining. That's more the direction of creativity I want to talk about today. And it matches a little more closely with my definition of applied creativity, which is what I'm normally talking about when I'm talking about creativity. And applied creativity is combining imagination and intelligence to accomplish something, to solve something. Anything. It could be something trivial, it could be something that changes the world, but you're using your intelligence and imagination, combining those to be creative for the purpose of solving a problem. I think this word creativity is misused and misunderstood quite a bit. One of the ways that it's often misunderstood or misused, and at least in my opinion, is the way the terms creative and artistic are often confused, conflated, blurred, used interchangeably. I don't think they're synonyms. And when people have great artistic skills, they're often described as being creative. And sometimes the person is both, and sometimes they're just one or the other. You think there are lots of drawers, painters, sculptors, musicians, photographers who have great technical skills, but they're not necessarily all that creative. They don't see things from a different perspective. They don't put things together in a different way. There are others who are amazingly creative, but technical skills are kind of okay. These are the people that hear sounds and turn them into music. These are the people that can just put colors together in a way that's never done, shapes together in the way that was never done before. If I had to choose between someone who had great technical skills and little creativity and someone who had great creativity and just kind of better than average technical skills, I'd always choose option B. But ideally, obviously, we want option C, which is those people who have both, the true masters. These are the artists who move us, who create emotion. These are the people whose art lives on for decades and centuries. But in that case, we're talking about creativity in the world of art. I want to talk today about creativity in the work world, in your office, in your professional pursuits. A lot of times when people think about creatives, professional creatives, they think about writers, designers, architects, all these kinds of things. But I'm saying anyone who is tasked with coming up with solutions. I had an old boss who I didn't necessarily like a lot of what he did and said, but one day he did say this. He said, "I want my accountant to be the most creative person in the company." I'm not sure I 100% agree with that, but I think we all know what he was saying. I mean, that's not accountant. It's not necessarily normally thought of as a creative industry, but there's a value to being creative no matter what your job is. And I believe that everyone is creative, or at least everyone has the ability to be creative. And I think the biggest barrier to being creative is a lack of willingness to share. Creative people are willing to share their ideas, even those that they're pretty sure aren't going to work, because they know if they put it out there, maybe they'll build upon it. Maybe other people will build upon it. Maybe it'll just make other people more willing to share their crazy ideas. Creative people are more willing to go down the rabbit hole and pursue this idea. And what if we did this? What if we did this? What if we tried it this way? And they're not going to stop at, well, that won't work. Like most people do. The creative people, well, but what if? What if we looked at it this way? What if we changed it? What if we built upon it? What if we actually just tried it and the only reason it's not working is because everyone says it won't work? Creative people are open to ideas from anywhere, from everywhere. They build on their own ideas and they build on the ideas of others. So this whole concept of, is everybody creative, or at least is everybody capable of being creative? Lots of research has been done on this. And a lot of research has been done on an interesting little subset of it, which is, how does alcohol or drugs influence creativity? And I've read some of this research, and one of them in particular, well, let me just give you the big summary of all this research is kinda and sometimes. But the one piece of it that really stuck in my mind, read this years ago. This group of researchers, after watching their experiment play out and observing their research subjects, they made this observation. Those who were normally considered not creative, those who considered themselves to not be creative, those who other people considered to not be creative, if they had a drink or two, they suddenly seemed more creative. Wow, those people who were normally considered creative and considered themselves creative, other people considered them creative, a drink or two kind of slowed down their creativity, decreased their creativity. Their theory of this is that in the non-creative people, the self-defined non-creative people, the alcohol reduced their inhibitions a little bit, and they were more willing to share their ideas. And those people who did consider themselves creative and other people considered them creative, their creativity, their creative output turned down a little bit because the alcohol just slowed their creative mojo. To me, this proved the fact that everyone can be creative and everyone is creative. It really just takes three things, my opinion here. It takes the courage, confidence, permission, agency to share ideas. It takes practice sharing your ideas, and it takes practice building on those ideas, whether they're your ideas or other people's ideas. If you want to be more creative, if you want to come up with more creative and more valuable ideas, stop holding back your ideas. Share them, even the half-baked ones. Build on them. Allow others to build on them. Let your imagination go wild. Consider the possibilities, all the possibilities. Don't worry about wasting time considering these possibilities and considering going down these rabbit holes and possibilities and potential. The value of a great idea is worth far more than an afternoon of daydreaming. An afternoon of being unproductive may, in fact, be the most productive afternoon you've ever had. Consider the impractical and then consider how to make it practical. Or consider, is it really impractical? If I give you one thing to walk away with, it is this. Do not worry what might happen if you share too many ideas. Again, do not worry what might happen if you share too many ideas. What you need to worry about is what might not happen if you keep the ideas to yourself. Share your ideas. Share it, say it, write it, sing it, draw it, diagram it, calculate it, try it. You're creative. It might just take a little bit of courage and practice to prove it to yourself. Go think, go share, go be creative. Thanks.